feels very like light and fun and playful to be you when you're at your very best. There's a real incredible sense of humor and sense of play. At the same time, I sense this degree of guardedness and self-protection, one level deeper. A real edge or anger.
If you feel the earth's pain or have a panic attack because someone near you is anxious, you might be an empath too.
Are you an empath?
You know you're empathic if you step into a room and you can feel the emotions.
We're at a point in human history where empathy is seen as a superpower, to be sold as a valuable commodity to the cold, critical mass.
That feeling where you're just like, yeah, I'm rocking it.
Is this just someone having a laugh? Or have we numbed ourselves enough to be so disconnected from our inner landscape that we have to pay a person to tell us all what we're feeling?
Thoughts, consciousness is just bioelectricity. Most people, if they're operating in their ordinary awareness, and a lot of people have been asleep for a very long time, but times are changing.
How are the sheep feeling now?
I know that there is a sense of calm.
You're more procrastination than manifestation. I am. You actually want to start living this thing called life your way. I do. I'm headed to the centre of the spiritual universe, Chelmsford, Essex, to meet Tamara, aka Wolf Sister, who's an empath. She does Reiki and crystal healing. I've had Reiki before. I felt really anxious and therapy didn't work, so why not spend some money on some other alternative treatment? It didn't help me, but I'm feeling hopeful that today is going to make me feel more chilled out. Hi Tamara, nice to meet you. It's really nice. I feel quite calm just like being in here already.
What would you like to focus on for the session?
I think I've been feeling really angry recently.
Okay. And if you're feeling angry or frustrated, get on the tube or get on the train and just send light out to everyone, like as if like kind of the Care Bear, like love heart. Close your eyes. I'm just using some Palo Santo, which is like a sacred wood. I didn't realise I was empathic until I started exploring spirituality, like learning to meditate, and I was actually told by a psychic, like, you're empathic, and it kind of made so much sense, and then started like researching and finding out more about energy and what it is and how it affects us. Our energy naturally, intuitively adapts to the person that we're with.
How did you decide that you wanted to do Reiki?
I'd had a long kind of like history of like anxiety and depression, and like I'd had like an eating disorder for a long time. And I did my first level Reiki attunement. It just blew me away. My anxiety just went, like my issue with food just completely dissipated.
I do feel like my energy's really changed. It was when you put your hand on my belly, I had this really strong feeling of like something has been really unjust and I really want to like cry and scream and shout about it.
Have you ever thought that you might be an empath?
I don't know.
Definitely from feeling that injustice of the things that are going on around us and actually feeling it so like big within you definitely is a kind of telltale sign that you are empathic. So welcome to the club. When I was like working like on your crown, like I saw real strong Pegasus energies, and Pegasus represents truth. Oh my goodness, don't want to fuck it up. Like that kind of came through. You're not going to fuck it up.
The things that she picked up on were all to do with work and how I'm feeling about myself and what I'm supposed to be doing. There's no way that she would have known that without knowing me.
Doesn't everyone feel like that anyway?
Yeah, that's true. I'm a Pegasus. All right. Was Wolf Sister just telling me what I wanted to hear? Or could the feelings of injustice in my stomach be empathic powers? It was time to speak to a psychology boff. In science circles, the concept of empaths is dismissed as paranormal, But people with highly sensitive personalities, or HSPs, are considered to have more empathy. Is it possible for me to find out if I'm highly sensitive?
Yes, we can test that in two ways. There is a questionnaire based on your own perception.
Gets irritated easily, yeah, I do. Feel others' emotions, very accurate.
And then we have a behavioral test where we show people videos and we measure how they respond emotionally.
Do you think that there's a link between anxiety and being a highly sensitive person?
Yes, there is a link. People that are sensitive, when they experience something that is kind of sad, they're more likely to develop depression.
I was getting ridiculously choked up at that.
So this is our EEG lab. This is where we measure brain activity on the outside of the scalp. More sensitive people, they have more sensitive brains.
Is it possible for someone to be able to empathise so much that they're feeling someone else's emotions?
Empathy is a fundamental social skill that we all have, but I have seen with people that are very sensitive, they cannot not feel empathy. So if they are surrounded by people, they will pick up on their moods.
How will you feel if you find out that you're not special?
I am special.
And we find that actually, if you have the different groups here, the low, medium and high, you fall into the high group. Based on all of this data, I think you can be confidently considering yourself to be a highly sensitive person.
It seemed like if you really wanted to be an empath or an HSP, you could just answer questions a certain way to get the results that you wanted. I was really confused. I'm trying to work out how convinced I am. Was I an empath? Was I an HSP? Was I full of shit? I needed a spirit guide.
Breathing in that good ass prana, baby.
As we all struggle to fill the void, New Age therapies are booming, and there's no shortage of healers to guide you in your awakening.
And so it's like we're receiving from heaven and earth.
I just seem way more sensitive.
Push to seek some type of spiritual teacher.
Because I just got out the shower, which is why I'm wearing blue. Because whenever I get really wet, I come out the shower and I just put on into blue stuff. Makes me feel good.
So Ryan looks quite interesting. He has a lot of videos about being an empath, all kinds of weird stuff.
Problem is within the society is everyone pretty much their headspace is below their pants. And it may not be you, but if not, guess what? You're waking up.
I've booked in a Skype session with him. Hi Ryan, would it be possible for you to be my spirit guide?
Sure, you do that. Yeah, you can make you aware of specific areas in the body that I can feel. I can feel more than one person in the room. It feels like a crew member there is more dense than others because of things that they eat. Slow, dense food, like pitta.
Yeah. Yeah, I ate a big egg naan.
A big egg naan he ate. How was it that you found out that you were an empath?
I sat down and realized that there's no way any one person can feel this amount of emotion.
Do you think then that someone can become an empath later in life?
Yeah, definitely. If certain things happen, psychedelics can trigger it easily. They could end up losing their mind a little bit. They just open themselves up too much and they're not ready to cope. It's not just emotions. Thoughts, consciousness is just bioelectricity. So bioelectricity can hop on to the field and easily permeate throughout someone else's field. Really, you want to look at it like everyone is a separate Wi-Fi hub. And there is this invisible cloud somewhere in another dimension aside from 3D where all of our thoughts lie. Most people aren't aware of this because they're operating in their ordinary awareness. And a lot of people have been asleep for a very long time, but times are changing. 10 signs that you are waking up.
He knew that our producer had eaten an egg naan roll before filming. There's definitely some power there.
You'll start to be able to perceive new aspects of the senses.
You're empathic. You're
Breathing in that good ass prana, baby.
While the online scene seemed to be populated by isolated vloggers, I'd heard about a community of empaths in New York, led by David Savage, who charges clients up to $200 per hour to enter their emotional field. It was time I got to the big empathic apple and spread my Care Bear love hearts to the people of New York.
Can I give you a hug?
David was holding a performance art show where he was giving out free readings to the public. All I've eaten since I've been here is like carbs on carbs. Like I literally just ate mac and cheese on a pizza. The carbs are affecting my prana severely. I think he's gonna see my aura and just be like, it's muddy.
Hello. Have we met before? No. Okay. I can feel this feeling of calm and openness. And through that is emerging a sense of joy. And if I go into who I feel you are at your very core, you have this extra place you get to go to of just letting bliss wash over you. Or not.
Anything recently, but I did start a new career path, I guess, and that has made me much happier. So,
thank you for that feedback.
It seemed pretty painless so far, but I felt nervous about what sort of emotions he would suck out of me.
So I can feel these layers over top of you of heaviness and anxiety, and at the same time, this real urge coming from a very deep place to get through it. There's a deep, really deep need to hide, and a lot of feeling overwhelmed and like you can't handle things. It's very soft sadness at the core of it. Thank you for coming to my show.
Thank you so much.
My accuracy is going down with that last one, so I want to do some cleaning. Wow.
Right. That is the last time I eat mac and cheese pizza before an empathic reading.
Right now, at this moment, you feel very soft. And on a deeper level, beyond this moment, there's a lot of anger that's coming through.
Why did you come here tonight?
I'm into the spiritual. I do a lot of meditating. I get readings.
How does this compare to any of the other readings that you've had?
He was really accurate.
And there's this subtle but ever-present feeling of bitterness or frustration.
It seemed like everyone was just, yeah, that was so accurate. A lot of the readings that he was doing were kind of like, I'm getting a lot of fear. I'm getting a deep, deep sadness. Well, everybody is miserable, aren't they? How do you think that the other night went?
I thought it went great. The vibe in the room felt very welcoming and accepting. It could be because I had invited a lot of those people. There were definitely some people who, when I opened my eyes, looked at me like, kind of.
Do you think there are phony empaths?
I think there are people who use terms that are trendy in order to make money. The word psychic is on its way out. So there are probably people using the term empath because it sounds kind of cool now. Like when you say psychic, it's like, oh, that means you're crazy or you're a phony or you charge $10 at a window. When you say empath, people mostly don't know what that means. And if they look into it, it means something that's legitimate. Don't use the tarot shot. It'll make everyone go, oh, he's just a complete psychic full of shit, and it'll like immediately dismiss everything they get otherwise.
Do you think that being an empath is a spiritual thing, a scientific thing?
I think it's probably a neurological condition or neurological phenomenon. I don't know so much about the science, but there are these things called mirror neurons that allow me to feel what you're feeling. So nobody's tested me, but my guess is more of those are active in me than in the average person.
How do you feel about the fact that there are a lot of empaths out there that charge?
People do have to make a living and they do have to pay rent. I prefer not to charge people. If I had a trust fund, I would not charge anybody anything. Well, I do work with business people on business questions. Business people tend to want things to be rational, and things are often not rational, they're emotional.
It's interesting to me that those are the kind of people who would be open to the idea of an empath.
They're open to the idea of an advantage. The people who can afford me for $200 an hour are not necessarily the same people who most need me.
David was also holding a meeting where empaths from all over the 5 boroughs come together to catch feelings.
We are like the sensitive people that are here to kind of save the planet.
We are the tribe, you know, like it's just like-minded others.
Okay, boom, empath, I'm in.
First, I'm going to lead you all in a very brief meditation. I want you to start tuning into how you feel physically.
I'm feeling a lot of things in my body today.
Yeah.
I personally felt intermittently like overwhelmed and then sad.
I've been very depressed and, you know, really struggling with that.
And I feel a lot of anxiety.
That's my energy. Seriously, I'm having a panic attack.
And then I felt, you said the weight of the world, I can feel that on my front of my body.
For the past 2 years, I've been, you know, abused by many narcissists, and I'm like to the point of I feel like I'm dying. I didn't realize that.
I just wanted to check that you were feeling okay because you had such an intense reaction.
It just was very overwhelming, and my whole body just was tingling, and I wanted to cry, and I wanted to just let go of all this pain that I've been holding on to for so long, and I don't know how to understand what's going on with myself, and I don't want to feel like I'm losing my mind.
Imagine it's a coating or a light or a color or an energy.
How did you find the experience?
I initially just came here to see what was an empath, is being an empath just another way to say I'm more special than you? Maybe we're supposed to cry when we see other people suffering and we can't do anything about it. So I kind of feel like that's just life and being normal.
All right. Oh. However you want to move your body so that you feel like you've gotten other people's feelings off of you and you're just left with your own stuff.
David's services were obviously helping sensitive people feel less alone and come out of their shell. But he was charging $25 per person for this session, and he's not a qualified therapist. Despite blaming society, capitalism, and paying the rent, charging people, some vulnerable, for a meeting where he only facilitated a couple of short meditations and a partnering up exercise seemed questionable.
Oh my God, my heart is fluttering. I literally cannot handle not helping this person. Okay.
My feeling was that everyone was coming at the idea of empath in a very different way.
I think it comes down to emotional self-awareness. People don't know what's going on inside them. So they're looking for something. Is it this? Is it that? Is it this? And sometimes maybe it's other people are just draining them and they don't know what to do about all the feelings that they're feeling that aren't theirs. But sometimes it might be something else, and then they just grasp onto this answer.
Back in Blighty, I'd heard about this global empath who'd rejected the city for the middle of nowhere. Lisa Lux uses her empathic skills to write poetry about the social injustices in the world.
Flirtatious and alluring too, for Mama, our creator, makes sweet love first to give life later.
I find spoken word really unbearable, but that's totally because I'm just like a cynical, easily cringed out dick, basically. Good, nice to meet you.
This is my farm. I couldn't rightly walk down the streets of London feeling emotionally safe because I'd taken everybody's stuff, and that's a lot of people. And then when I come here, there's not many people around me. Okay, you got the sheep here. Some of the mums feel some sadness.
So you've kind of got rid of the energy of people being around you in London, but now you have like a bit from the animals.
That's right, yeah. But actually I can deal with this a lot more.
How are the sheep feeling now?
I know that there is a sense of calm. I believe a sense of unknowing. Oftentimes, like, you'll see when the sheep aren't feeling so good, or when they're really afraid. They have anxiety, they're really anxious animals. And they're also really grounding as sheep because they're always like looking down. The humans too are like nomadic, naturally. Being stable in one place means living within like this smog of the emotions of everything that has been felt in that space. There's the earth, and then like between the foot and the earth there's like this corsetina of like our ancestors, and if we stood upon the earth and not buried within it, then we are actually effectively in the sky too, you know?
Lisa wanted to perform one of her empathic poems to me on the hill.
Have you heard the voice of earth? Her voice shatters window panes, souls rise to the eyes and limp. There's a spider on the altar. The music stops being music when the singing becomes a cry. I can't stop those screams.
The empathic energy Lisa was channeling in my face was intense.
It's the scream of dykes and activists starved of pay, tree, come. Who will hold you if she dies today?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had someone do a poem that close to me before. How does being an empath affect the way that you do your art?
It's like a form of channeling. If I can feel like such a sense of discomfort and widespread pain, then it's my job to do something about it. So my poetry is like a form of spiritual activism. I have to tell her what I'm channeling because it's been a gift to me to be an empath. It's served me well.
Now that Lisa had shown me how it's done, it was time for me to use my empathic skills and channel feelings into some emo poetry.
Pull like a tarot card and then use that as a stimulus for writing. Where the hell am I and all of the that's happening, you know? Okay, I knock my energy out of it. Okay, you got the moon.
The eclipse happened last night and we couldn't see it here, but in America they could see it.
Darkness was cast upon America,
Yeah. I'm gonna start writing from the perspective of the moon. But I'm just thinking of Donald Trump and he's not wearing the glasses and he's just looking really arrogantly at the sun.
I don't know how like you've been feeling as a person in this time.
Really angry. I wasn't just angry. I was channeling my empathic superpowers to save the world from the king of the narcissists. The moon.
Do you want to stand up and do it?
Okay.
So find like the feeling of it in all of you. I do like a meditation that goes through like every cell in my body and sees every single cell in my body as an eye that's opening.
Looking down at tiny visors, grinning faces, underneath here to witness our bright light. But one, without visor, arrogantly turning his face to our sphere of white. Orange and puce, his mouth downturned, piggy eyes need no protection. Bulls recognize bulls, see my power. We see no power in blindness.
That's awesome. That's wicked.
My redemption not complete. Lisa took me out to release the last of the anger I'd bottled up inside.
Screaming is the #1 spiritual practice.
Okay.
Now this works best for empaths because you're emptying all that has been like put inside of you that you're like holding, that you're like really full of. Just let it all go.
Send everything that isn't yours down through that cord to the center of the earth.
As the world awakens to a new age of empathy, just like in any movement, there will be people wanting to profit from the needs of the vulnerable masses.
Slow motion this side.
I think people are more complex than just putting them in boxes, like empaths or narcissists.
Breathing a new energy into your heart and just activating your heart center.
Whether it's legitimate or not, in an age of unrest, people opening up about their attitudes to empathy and emotional expression is maybe what we need to get us through some hard times. I want to throw my phone. I feel good. I feel like I've released a lot of the anger that I've been carrying around.
So you found you?
Came to the Yorkshire Moors and I found me. Now that I felt awakened, I was ready to unleash my empathic powers on the world. Oh man, that's bad for my energy.
Hi, tell me something you don't know about me.
You're a policeman.
No way.
Is he a policeman?
No way. What did I do before being a 5-0?
Something to do with like planes?
Fuck off. She's a fucking weirdo.
What about me? Is it my turn now?
How the fuck did you...
The first one I actually genuinely did get, and then I looked over there and saw him doing a plane for the second one.
Which one? You bought it right, you bought it right.